Hi, Melissa here to talk to you today about evidence-based nursing practice, the significance of its use, and what is our role as advanced practicing nurses in the use of evidence-based practice. So what is evidence-based practice? It is a continuous use of interactive processes using the best available data to provide the best patient care that we can. It raises the value of the data based on the research. It ultimately lowers the value of opinion and experience. So we have nurses that have an opinion about using a particular type of treatment modality based on their previous experience. What worked 10 years ago may not be the best method or modality to be used in today's standards. Evidence-based practice really helps us keep current with various research and data. So what is our role as advanced practice nurses or nurse leaders? Really, ultimately, our role is to identify a need for change. We all know that evidence-based practice is not utilized in our clinical settings as much as it should or could be. And then our role as leaders would be to then act on that needed change. How do we do that? What does that look like? That would be us being role models and utilizing evidence-based practice and research in front of our peers and in front of our staff nurses and sharing what we've learned through our research with them. And then ultimately being flexible in that change. Change is hard for everyone. As nurse leaders, we want to be supportive and encouraging to create a culture change on our unit or in our clinical setting. If we can do all this, we really ultimately are providing the best quality patient care in a safe manner. Understanding the benefits of the use of evidence-based practice will support a much needed change in our nursing practice settings. The use of science-based research does a multitude of things. It moves our nursing practice forward. We all know that healthcare is continuously evolving. As advanced practice nurses, it's our responsibility to stay current and know what is the most available research. What does that data show us or tell us? It's our responsibility to provide credibility to what we're doing and why we're doing it when we're taking care of our patients. It's great we have an opinion and we have past experience, but is that the best method of treatment currently? What does the research tell us? Research provides that substantiability, that credibility to what we're doing and why we're doing it. It improves our quality of care that we're providing to our patients in the clinical setting. We're educating ourselves by utilizing evidence-based research. By educating ourselves, we have the ability to share what we know and what we've learned with our patients. By giving that information and paying it forward to our patients, we're providing them an opportunity to be involved in their care, which is really what they want and what we want. By giving them that information, they're able to make a best informed decision for how they want to see their plan of care proceed going forward. And ultimately, we're improving patient satisfaction when we're doing this, as well as their outcome. So let's talk about some barriers in the use of evidence-based practice. There are individual barriers, organizational barriers, and environmental barriers. Some individual barriers might be that we don't all have advanced practicing nurses on our units, so there might be a lack of education in use or the validity of evidence-based research. Also, we're working short-staffed a lot of times, so heavy workloads prevent us from using research. Organizational barriers might be that the organization just doesn't have evidence-based practice as a priority. They have other issues that they're worried about. Lack of funding or lack of resources from an organizational aspect may be a barrier. And then environmental issues are more of nursing culture or difficulty in change. So these are the nurses that you overhear saying, no, we just do it that way because that's how we've always done it. So trying to overcome those barriers and making those changes. How do we do that as nurse leaders? So on an individual level, we can do that by being role models and using evidence-based practice ourselves. Encouraging and supporting the use of evidence-based practice within our teams and providing opportunity for networking and collaboration. Allow those nurses to share what they've learned in their research of articles and the review of articles. And then sharing our leadership responsibilities with our staff nurses. When you give them that leadership responsibility and create that buy-in, they want to do a good job. And so they're going to do some research and educate themselves on what is the best treatment modality for this patient. And then, of course, we want to support them with our actions and verbally. To overcome some organizational barriers as nurse leaders, it will help us to understand the culture of the organization. When was the last time the organization went through a change? How was it received? Having that histrionic information will help us overcome those barriers for a smoother transition in moving forward and taking a different path. Addressing practice issues. So when we see a nurse not doing practice up to standards, we're not just giving our opinion as to why we want to change what we're doing or how we're doing it. There's research and there's evidence to support the reason we changed that method or the way we're doing things now on the unit. We also, as nurse leaders, can provide access to resources. So making sure our nurses have access to computers. Do they know where the library is in the hospital? Do they know how to access the library in there? We can also support training and development for our staff, as well as rewarding and recognizing our nurses that have done research and have published articles. As nurse leaders, to help overcome some barriers in the environmental aspect, we can foster relationships and work collaboratively with our staff. We can establish a questioning culture. When I started at Highland, it was this negative stigma if you asked questions. Then we evolved into this as educational setting where residents started asking questions, and there wasn't this negative stigma. It was, we like that you're asking these questions. And nurses felt comfortable. So creating that questioning culture really fosters that curiosity in someone and enables them to educate themselves and want to know more. You're ultimately creating a learning environment by doing that. So as nurse leaders, our job is to understand that change is hard. And what we're trying to do by promoting evidence-based practice in our settings is really we're trying to create a culture change. It's a process. It's not an event. It's not going to happen very quickly. And with all processes, there needs to be support and nurturing in order for it to happen and maintain its sustainability. As advanced practicing nurses and nurse leaders, we are change agents. It is up to us to create an environment conducive to change so that change can happen freely, comfortably, and be sustainable. I thank you for watching this presentation. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.